course, is now up to bat. So we'll talk about that coming up. Keys to that game. I mean, I think we all at this point know exactly what the keys to the game are for this team, for this particular team. We know what they are. You can almost go back and this is not a name change thing, but if you had to rename this Redskins franchise, there's one other Washington franchise that you could rename this team after. And it's kind of fun. We'll get to that later on in the show. Plus, we'll go around the NFL, a couple of undefeated teams that I wanted to highlight because they are pretty good. So we'll talk about them later on in the show. Plus, if you were in D.C., and you're a Washington area fan, I'm sure you had your TV tuned to at least one of two games. We'll go over both of those games later on in the show. Plus, the Capitals, they're starting the season right now. Hopefully you're tuning in here and have your other eye on the TV. Well, they haven't started yet, but they'll start very soon. We'll talk about them and their lead-in going into this season. Got a tough matchup tonight against the defending champs, so we'll talk about that. Plus, we got to talk about college football and what happened in College Park last Friday. Terrible. It may be the one-word description that you could also use to describe the Redskins against the Giants. But let's start with the Redskins, of course, because this is Redskins Relaunch. Let's start with the good. If there is anything. No?
I don't.
Andrew's shaking his head. I got at least one good thing, and that is Quentin Dunbar. Had 2 picks.
Fair.
All right. And that ends that segment of Redskins Relaunch. and there you go. That's it. All right, so let's get to the other side. Dwayne Haskins makes his debut. All right, cool. He had a decent first drive. Led the team to some points. And then things got a little haywire. Look, if you were to write a movie, it's not a movie script debut for Dwayne Haskins, and that's fine. Hopefully the kid can grow from it, learn from it, grow from it, and never, make some of those mistakes again. He said so as much in his post-game comments after the game in New York. But if we want to kind of grade Dwayne against the Giants, you definitely have to give him a D. I mean,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Hey, look, it's almost like the first day of school and he ended up getting a D. There's nowhere to go but up. All right, so, he held on to the ball too long. In the NFL, you got to have that internal clock. He just doesn't have it right now, and that's okay. He will hopefully get that. He locked in on some receivers. That Jeremy Sprinkle, the pick six where he was locked into Jeremy Sprinkle, and Jabril Peppers ended up going for a pick six, which actually helped me out in fantasy, which is good, fantasy purposes. But he locked in on Sprinkle on that play. And, NFL defenders at this point, they're reading your eyes. That's something that Dwayne will definitely pick up on. He did scramble. He showed some, he was elusive for the most part. So that was good to see. Again, but he did again throw those 3 picks. You can't do that. You can't turn the ball over, as we saw the week before with Case against the Bears. You can't turn the ball over up here. It's just not good. DJ Bland again checking in. Greg Lancaster, thank you very much for tuning in to Redskins Relaunch. He said, don't forget 2012 they were doing bad in last place, then got hot, won 7 in a row, 10-6 NFC East champs. I mean, yeah, I think that team looked a little bit better than this one. And it was a different coach in Mike Shanahan, who had, Mike Shanahan has he has 2 rings, okay? He can go anywhere he wants to go. He has 2 rings. The coach currently does not. And that's all right. So before we start talking about, deja vu, a history repeating itself or anything like that, it's not going to happen. Now, I will say, we'll get to this later on in the show. It's not the first time that the Redskins have been in this situation, but hopefully it is the last. More bad for the Redskins. I mean, obviously you have to go to the other quarterback that started, which is Case Keenum. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened leading up to the week, leading up to the Giants game. But again, last week early, that Wednesday after the Monday night debacle against the Bears, he was in a walking boot. Today at practice, he was in a walking boot. It did not fare well for Case. Right after the game, Jay alluded to maybe Case wasn't quite right health-wise as to why Case was off on a couple of throws, why he was making bad reads. I don't think a foot can help you read a defense, but regardless, I guess Jay gave Case that out. He got benched. He got benched for the rookie. At this point, do you end up bringing Case in and sitting Dwayne? Why? I'm not sure. But in any event, that's Jay's call. That's why he's the head coach, and that's why he's getting a lot of scrutiny right now, is because he did bring in Dwayne. He only has 2 quarterbacks on the roster now, possibly 3, with Colt McCoy coming back to the fold this week. He was at practice today, not in a walking boot. They're basically taking it slow with him. Jay said so in talking to the media today, saying that he wants to make sure that Colt is 100%. You almost get mixed up by saying Case and Colt.
Of course, they both have C names.
Yeah, it's C, and yeah, it's just, what are you going to do? But regardless of whoever is at quarterback, the offensive line is just pitiful.
It's bad.
They're pitiful. I mean, the Giants' front seven is, sure, they're an NFL front seven, but they're not as talented as the Redskins' front seven, and they just could not. The Redskins' offense, they couldn't block anything. I don't know what it is about this team in this scheme, but they can't run. They can't run block for anything.
No,
they can't run block for anything, and it's embarrassing to see a burgundy and gold team not being able to run.
I think that's one of the most disappointing things about this season is, you have injuries. Yeah, you have other things going on the offensive line. But going into the season, I at least thought the backups were competent, and maybe that's not the case.
No, not so much. Not so much. So, that and the play calling is just crazy predictable.
It's
First and
pretty
10.
vanilla.
1st and 10. What are you going to do? You're going to hand off to AP off the right side. Guess what? 1 yard. Then you go to your second down play, 2nd and 9, in your, 3 or 4 plays, and you're either running a draw or a screen or something like that, either a running back screen or a receiver screen, and then you're all of a sudden, defense snuffs that out, and then you're looking at a 3rd and long, and then you're looking at a screen to Chris Thompson or something like that, or it's not NFL football. It's not NFL football at this point. And the discipline with this team just is not there. You get holding calls. That second drive where the Giants score, you had Monte Nicholson committing a couple of penalties. You can't do that at this level. And there's, you've heard several different commentators, analysts like Brian Mitchell saying that, there's no accountability. Basically, there's no accountability. If you commit a penalty, you should be on the bench, especially if you're committing more than one on one drive. Sit down for a second. Think about it, and then come back into the game when you're ready. Does not happen with this team. And also, Jay just does not adjust well at all. So now that I'm done with my Redskins bashing, look, we're going to have to take a break. Questions of the night. Again, one-word description to describe the Redskins' performance against the Giants. One word. I have a couple of answers on Facebook. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Colvin Underwood will get you your answer after the break. Plus, here's the dilly of all dillies leading up to this week. If Colt starts versus the Patriots, which could be the case. Again, Case was in the walking boot today. It was a walkthrough at Redskins Park today. Case was in a walking boot. Colt went through the walkthrough as well as Dwayne. Apparently, a lot of the guys took first team snaps, but again, it was a walkthrough, so be it. But if Colt starts versus the Patriots and plays poorly or gets injured, that's kind of his thing. Who comes in at quarterback? Is it going to be Case, or are you bringing in Dwayne if Colt is the quarterback against the Patriots? Want to hear your comments to that question, plus more. Redskins Relaunch. We'll be right back. Relaunch. Wanted to hear some of Jay Gruden's comments after the game. Here's what he said after the game against the Giants.
The toughest part is I know we're better, and nobody else believes that. And I believe it. I think our players believe it. Our coaches believe it. But there's no reason for anybody to really believe it because we're 0-4, and we haven't really proved anything on the field yet. I know we have the talent. We just got to, make some plays.
All right, so don't know what I don't, he doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. I mean, it's good for the team to stick together, but they're not playing really good football right now. Not playing good football right now. Do you hit the panic button if you're Jay or if you're anybody of the players? Do you hit the panic button? Actually, you know what? We got to go back a week and find out if one player is hitting the panic button, which is Jonathan Allen. I don't think he's one of those guys that has a panic button in his vocabulary, but this is what he had to say following the game against the Bears.
It's week 3. I don't know one team that's been eliminated from the playoffs after 3 weeks. We're okay. We're okay. Everything we do is self-inflicted. We got to do the small things, right? We'll be fine. This is not time to jump off ship, and if you're not with us now, that's cool. Keep that same energy.
Then how do you keep everyone focused on that? Because it could seem from a distance that this could be, something that does take things off the rails with the loss the way that it was.
We're supposed to be the best athletes in the world. If you don't have the mental toughness to stay focused after 3 weeks and a 17-week season, regular season, I don't know what to tell you. So each guy has to be held accountable and just take it from there. There ain't no magic sauce to get this thing turned around. It's doing the little things right. And that's what we got to do. Like I said, if you're not going to support us now, which you shouldn't because we're playing like I don't know what you want me to tell you. So don't support us now, don't support us later. We going to circle the wagons and we going to get right. Believe that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They're not playing good. And don't come and support us now. So, no, John is not hitting the panic button. So at least we know somebody that's not. But, it's just not a good look when you see a team with Daniel Jones, Giants quarterback. Daniel Jones beat you. Not Eli Manning, not Saquon Barkley, but Daniel Jones came in to whip up on you and your defense. Oh, boy. I mean, is this about as low as it gets as far as and this was on Sports Talk on WJLA 24/7, but excuse me, is this as low as any? Is this the lowest point that any DC sports team has ever had?
Some of those Nationals teams, when they were getting embarrassed by the Phillies every year, losing 100 games multiple years in a row. I don't know if the Redskins are there yet, but they are well on their way. And with a game against the Dolphins in 2 weeks, just kind of, I think in the back of all the fans' minds, what if they lose that? That they're well on their way to maybe being at the same place of some of those just really, really bad Nationals teams.
Yeah, I mean, there were back and on that show, Ben Raby said, there were, we went down the line of all the major sports franchises in the area, and he said the Caps, when they first came to town, I mean, they only won, 8 games that first season. That's not great, especially for, a expansion franchise. But, when we also talked about the Nationals and those 100 loss seasons in, I believe, 08, 09, right before, you get your Strasburgs and before you get your Harpers. One thing that he pointed out was that he said, at least in those eras and those teams, there was a bit of hope. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, which I totally understand. In this case, where's the hope? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? If you want to say that Dwayne Haskins is the light at the end of the tunnel, sure. I don't know, but there doesn't necessarily seem to be any light at the end of this bad spot for the Redskins. Another point to bring up. I'm sorry, you had a point? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, with as young as the owner is, you need him to, in my opinion, you need him to change the way he thinks about the team for there to be any light, and I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, at least with the Wizards, your light is, well, that John Wall contract's not going to be forever. Yeah. With the old Capitals, they were an expansion team, so they're supposed to be bad. That's how it was supposed to work. The Nationals, you had just gotten a new owner. You were owned by Major League Baseball. Teams owned by the league don't do well. With the Redskins, there's really there's no, well, at least fill in the blank.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's the new stadium.
If they can find somewhere to build it.
And yeah, absolutely. So, okay, maybe that's not a bright spot. Okay. So, yeah, you're right. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for at least for this franchise for the, very near future. All right, so another point was what happens first? What's going to happen first? As a coordinator, get let go if they have a bad showing against the Patriots or the Dolphins? Will it be the coach? Has the Gruden countdown clock started? Is it already, are we already hitting 11:59:50 on his clock? Wanted some of your comments and suggestions. Getting some coming in now. Colvin Underwood, speaking of the one-word description, saying that the Redskins' performance in one word against the Giants, confounding. I can definitely see that. Confounding that Case Keenum was in there to play if he was injured. I guess at that point, if you're Jay Gruden, where do you go if Case is hurt? Dwayne will get his start, but then who backs him up? You only have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Where do you go from there? Oh, boy. So, in any event, yes, it is very confounding, that performance against the Giants. Also, DJ Bland saying, and this is a famous quote from Mike Singletary back in the day, cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't win with him. Can't coach him. Yes, Mike Singletary from back in the day with his days from the 49ers. Thank you, DJ Bland. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if Jay Gruden has ever said that, but I don't know. Maybe the players are saying can't play for him. Can't coach. Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't look. It's teamwork and winning is a two-way street. Good coaches can get good players to play great, and bad coaches can get good players to look terrible. So there's got to be a two-way street. People got to communication is the key. Where have you heard that before? One thing the Redskins did not do, we'll go switch over to defense, is that they did not get to the quarterback with their front seven. Could not get to Daniel Jones. The one time they did get to Daniel Jones, guess what he did? He hit the old X spin move on the controller and ended up getting the first down, running for like 20 yards. I mean, when you get home and you can't get home and bring the quarterback down, I mean, it's like this team can always get close, but they're just not there. Just not there. Want to hear some of your assessments of Kevin O'Connell and Greg Minuski. Give them grades. We're through the first quarter of the season. Want to hear some of your grades as far as some of their, play calling performances with the team over the first 4 games. All right, we are actually going to take another break. We'll wait for more of your comments to come in on Redskins Relaunch. Again, we want to hear our questions are, what is a one-word description of the Redskins' performance against the Giants? Also, if Colt McCoy starts against the Patriots on Sunday and he plays poorly or gets hurt, who comes into play quarterback? Who backs up Colt against the Patriots? Is it going to be Case or is it going to be Dwayne? Your answers and more on Redskins Relaunch. We'll be right back.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry.
I have to see some things for me to make the decision, and that'll come out here at practice tomorrow, really. Hopefully after tomorrow's practice I'll have a good indication who I'm going to play. So yeah, in my mind I have a pretty good plan,
Jay,
contrary to belief.
I mean, really? You don't know? I mean, he knows, but he doesn't want to tell us, which is, it's in his right. He's the coach. He doesn't want to give up that competitive advantage, but, I mean, just everything. Like Colvin said, confounding. Confounding is a good word, especially as it pertains to this week. It's confounding. I mean, you saw on Twitter today, everybody knows who the starter's going to be, or at least that's what Twitter says. Twitter's always right. 9 times out of 10, it works 50% of the time. Was that the line from Anchorman?
It
No,
was
he
just
said,
close to that.
What was it? It said
50% of the time
it works every time.
time.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is with the Reds. It's like 50% of the time, it's going to work every time. Is that how they play call out there? Like, what's going on? Oh, boy. All right, so that was Jay Gruden on Wednesday speaking about who's going to start, whether it's going to be Case, whether it's going to be Dwayne, whether it's going to be Colt. Again, all 3 quarterbacks are in play, even though Case Keenum has a walking boot on. He was at practice today going through the walkthrough and did have a walking boot on. Did not participate in really anything, but again, it was a walkthrough, so you can still walk with a walking boot. That's why it's called a walking boot. Our question before we came back from break, and our question of the night is, if Colt starts against the Patriots, who serves as his backup? Who do you bring in in case Colt plays poorly or he gets injured, which, could very well happen? Who is that guy? Is it going to be Dwayne or is it going to be Case? At this point, you have to kind of stick with Haskins.
Yeah, I mean, if Keenum's not healthy, he's not healthy and he shouldn't be in the game. And if Haskins, I don't really want to see him against the Patriots. I'd rather him get a start against the Dolphins. But, you don't want Case in there if he's not healthy, because we saw how that's going to work.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, look, he had a really good half against the Eagles. I will give him that. Good half against the Eagles. That's fantastic. And led the charge back against the Bears after, really spitting up on yourself. But you gotta be able to play 60 seconds worth of football in order to win in this league. You can't just play 30, can't just play 15. You gotta play 60. So hopefully, Jay and the powers that be over in Redskins Park can figure out what to do at the quarterback situation. Let's go around the NFL real quick. We're gonna abbreviate this show. So everybody can go and watch the Caps play. I kid because I care. Around the NFL, raise your hand if you had the 49ers, Pats, and the Chiefs all undefeated at the beginning of the season. Sure, 2 of those teams you could definitely say, yeah, sure. Patriots and Chiefs, absolutely. Those guys are pretty gosh darn good, and I can see them winning a lot of games. But the 49ers? Kyle Shanahan? Wait. Kyle Shanahan. Matter of fact, how many Redskins assistants? What is the record of former Redskins assistants? They are 9-1, I believe.
I believe so.
9-1. You have Kyle Shanahan undefeated. With the 49ers, you have the LA Rams and Sean McVay.
Just lost their first this week.
Yeah, so they're 8-2. Is that right? Yeah, I think 8-2.
Green Bay has a loss, right?
Yeah, Green Bay has a loss. Matt LaFleur, they just lost to the they lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Eagles on Thursday night. So, yeah, not looking good. Not good. In Steve Spurrier's terms, not good. Weren't the worst. No, look, you've had so much talent in this building that just keeps on walking away. It's kind of interesting, just the amount of talent that just walks away from this franchise. All right, let's go around the NFL. The Chiefs, they handle the Lions. Look, that was a great game. If you're ever to go in a shootout, those probably the quarterbacks that you probably want. Matt Stafford, he could sling with the best of them.
I think he might be the most underrated quarterback in the league.
Look, Stafford has an arm, okay? There are a couple of guys that have those arms. You think of Jeff George, or you think of Jay Cutler. You can definitely put Matt Stafford in that arena, as well as the guy that actually won that game, which was Pat Mahomes, who literally, if he's standing still, he could throw about 70 yards. Not even, just standing still, feet flat, and he could just sling it. Which is, that's why the Chiefs are undefeated. And the Lions were, at that point, undefeated as well. That was a great game. You could see that. There were a couple. The Bashaud Breeland, did anybody see that? That fumble return, 101 yards for a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Not necessarily a fumble, but the whistle never blew, so sort of like, sure, whatever. That was interesting call, to say the least. The officiating in the NFL over the first quarter of the year has just been god-awful. God-awful. I mean, I'm not blaming the Redskins' loss on the officiating, but there were a couple of calls that were like, really, bro? What were you looking at? Several of the holds were just like, that's not a hold. No. And I have no problem with calling it both ways, but the officiating has just been god-awful.
Now, are you a fan of the challenging pass interference and how that's turned out?
Apparently not, because if you challenge it, it's like, don't.
It's a waste. It's a waste of time.
It's sort of like challenging your parents. Like, really, you're going to do that? Either in the end, the parents are going to win, and that's what's going on now. It's like, do as I say, not as I do. No, your mother and father, they're always right. That's exactly what's going down with the officiating and the challenging. It's like it's silly. It actually really is silly. I mean, I understand how the NFL could go back and say, you know what, we need to make sure that New Orleans and Rams thing that happened in the playoffs, make sure that pass interference doesn't happen again. But what they're going through now is it's garbage. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And, the NFL's not going to change their ways. It's sort of like saying, now, if MLB does the same thing with balls and strikes, I mean, obviously they can do the bases, but balls and strikes, we'll get to this later on in the show, but the umpire last night was squeezing Max Scherzer. I mean, it was an insane how he was squeezing Scherzer and the Nats hitters. There were so many balls that Woodruff threw that were called strikes. It was okay. Like I said, we're going to get back to that. Let's stick with the NFL real quick. Let's stick with the NFL. All right, so the Cowboys lost. I mean, that was a good thing this weekend.
Never a bad thing.
We'll take that. We'll take that. Saints, thank you, Teddy Bridgewater, for winning the game, but sucking in fantasy. That helped my fantasy team out a lot. We'll get to your fantasy team in a second, Andrew. He does enough to win the game, but, he killed my fantasy team. Reason why I took my first L of the season. I don't like that at all. The Buccaneers, they shocked the Rams, which was interesting. You didn't see that one coming. I mean, look, Bruce Arians is a great coach. As we go along in this season, we're probably going to bring up possible coaching candidates that would maybe come to the Redskins if if the dominoes are falling the right way, as they look like they are now. So we'll go through some of those coaching candidates, but one candidate could be not necessarily Bruce Arians, but he's a great coach, and he has got the Bucs to possibly buy into what he's selling. And who else is down there with that staff? Todd Bowles is down there with that staff, who could have been, it could have been defensive coordinator for the Redskins, but that defense, they ended up scoring a touchdown to clinch it. Ndamukong Suh running his fat behind down the field. He's not really fat. He's just a really big boned, muscular guy.
Large human.
Yeah, no, I would not want to stand in front of him.
No.
No, not me. I'm not his size. If I were an offensive lineman size, I might try to take that on, but I'm not. So I'm here talking with you. The Bears, their defense, again, still looks strong, man. They ruffled and they ruffled Kirk Cousins. And that's another good thing, I guess, that happened this weekend. The Vikings, they do have a win. They're almost no better than the Redskins are at this point.
I mean, no one won the Kirk Cousins decision. I mean, every team that was involved in that has been terrible. The Vikings, disappointing. The Redskins, well, we just talked about that. But even the Jets, who wanted to sign him, that hasn't worked out for them either. No one involved in Kirk Cousins has come out a winner from that.
No, not good at all. I mean, and the talent that Kirk has around him. He has Dalvin Cook, also on my fantasy team. Fantastic job. He has Thielen. He has Stephon Diggs. I mean, he has some weapons around him, and they can't do anything. They can't run the ball. Kyle Rudolph, tight end over there. I mean, they're not doing anything. So Kyle Allen, raise your hand if you knew that he was going to be 2-0 as a quarterback starting off.
Is he legit? Like, through 2 games, he is.
Either way, apparently Ron Rivera has that guy coached up, and thank goodness he has Christian McCaffrey. But what does that say about Cam Newton? It's been a bad week for the Newtons.
Yeah,
you had Cam Newton. I mean, he's injured, but Kalen, he just left Howard. He's entering the transfer portal. Putting that out on social media yesterday, and I think that's four players from Howard's program that are now entering the transfer portal. So some interesting things going on the hilltop in Northwest. Also, I guess we have to bring in the Browns and the Ravens. Ravens. Oh boy. I don't know what team that was in Baltimore last week, because normally you say Baltimore, you think defense, but they did not. Oof. Browns came in and wrecked shop. I don't know what happened. That statue of Ray Lewis must have been turned the wrong way or something like that, but they did not play good defense at all. That was a dreadful performance by the Ravens. Against the Browns. You had Chubb running all over the place. OBJ, they held him in check, but everybody else was catching things all over the place. Landry was going off. It's just Baker Mayfield had a decent game. Ravens, I'm sure they'll shore everything up. Apparently Ed Reed was at practice today, and if there's somebody that could come in and rile the troops, it probably would be Ed Reed. Even though, he can get a little bit long-winded per his Hall of Fame speech, but it was compelling. That speech was compelling. I listened to that speech. It was great. To me, it was. But that's neither here nor there. All right. Some more of your comments on Facebook as well as on Periscope. Thank you, Alex Pinero, for watching. Rich Bowen and Keontae D, thank you very much for watching. Please leave your comments and suggestions. Want to know basically one word, your one-word description of the Redskins and their performance against the Giants. Also, if Colt McCoy plays against the Patriots and either gets knocked out or played poorly against the Pats, who is the next quarterback to play for the Redskins? Who would come in to relieve him in that game versus Patriots? Is it going to be Dwayne Haskins or would it be Case Keenum? Want to know your answers to that? We'll take another break. We'll wrap up this edition of Redskins Relaunch. We'll go around the DMV and we'll have keys to the game against the Patriots. Yes, against the Patriots, the undefeated Patriots, the defending Stanley Cup champions, the defending Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots, and how the Redskins can, pull off some sort of an upset. We'll talk about that as Redskins Relaunch continues. We'll be right back.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry.
All right, welcome back to the last segment of Redskins Relaunch. I'm your host, Winston Hilton. You can get at me right there. Boom. Sports Talk, NC8. Make sure you go there for a nice read. Several funny suggestions, comments, and quirky things over the on Twitter. I'm not the funniest guy. I'm not a comedian, but I have a different point of view. Boom. All right. Thank you very much again for watching. DJ Bland, Colvin Underwood, Greg Lancaster, thank you again for your comments and suggestions on Twitter. Did anybody happen to see the professional baseball game that went down in Nationals Park on Tuesday night? Anybody? No. I know you have a national shirt on. I'm sure you may have caught something. Tell me, for the first 2.5 hours of that game, up until about 10:30, you were like, oof.
I was just like, here we go again. Just on Twitter, oh boy, everything's terrible.
Yep.
And then Michael Taylor gets hit. They try to say it was a foul ball. That was weird. Ryan Zimmerman with, you need luck. You need luck to win in the playoffs. They got that. And then Soto did what I guess Juan Soto's hopefully going to do in the playoffs. It's at 20 years old.
20.
Ice in the veins like that. First ever playoff game. And he's the hero. That's incredible to me. And hopefully this changes the narrative on the teams. Whether they beat the Dodgers or not, the Dodgers I think are better than them, but they can compete. Hopefully they've won a playoff round now.
Yes.
And hopefully that just any kind of psychological thing is gone and we can just focus on the future, not the past.
Well, that was one question I was about to put on Facebook. Do you consider last night's wild card win a playoff series victory?
I want to say yes. I know a series generally has to have more than one game, but they eliminated a team from the playoffs. That's something they'd never done before. They've had the chance to do, 3 times and failed all 3, and this time they succeeded. So, I guess technically it's not a playoff series victory if you want to go by the dictionary, but in terms of the spirit of it, in terms of just you got to celebrate twice in a season. That's something they've never done before. You ended a team season. That's something they haven't done before. So I do consider it a playoff series win just because I think this is big enough and the way they did it coming back from the grave, there's still work to be done, but for this team, it counts. If they had been one of the teams that was supposed to win 110 games and win the World Series.
But they were. Don't forget, they were. They were supposed to be a team that had 100 wins.
But they were also trying to get under the luxury tax this season. So, and you had just lost Harper, which was for the best, but maybe we didn't know it at the we weren't sure at the time.
Yeah, you didn't know what you were going to get with Robles playing every day. You didn't know you knew what you were going to get with Soto playing every day. But yeah, that's I don't know. I don't necessarily. You say playoff series victory. I'm counting more than one game. Series, not just one game. If you're counting playoff series of innings,
there you go.
Victory.
There you go.
Oh man, semantics is a beast. Semantics is everything. So yeah, no, I'm not considering it a playoff series victory. I need to win a best out of blank.
Best out of 1.
That's not really.
There's
working.
Definitely an asterisk there.
That's
Even if you're being generous.
That's fair enough. There's definitely an asterisk on that playoff series victory.
Yeah.
But in any event, they've advanced. Now, if you came at me and said, you know what, they advanced in the playoffs, I may have been able to buy that. But
that's why I've been trying to say their first playoff round win. I've been trying to say it that way.
This is not the NCAA tournament.
But they won the wild card round.
It's like that first 4 in thing. Like, no.
I think it's different than the first 4 in. Only 10 teams out of 32 make the playoffs. I just think that makes it different. Maybe if half the league makes the playoffs.
That's exactly what the wild card is. It's like they're the last 4 in. That's exactly. Let's equate it to that. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but it'd be like if the NCAA play-in was only between Duke, UNC, and NC State. These are elite teams in it. It's not Monmouth.
You're not giving credit for a win by, like you said, Mercer against North Carolina. If they're a 16-1, sure, maybe. Like Virginia, VCU, UMBC, like that. They were already a 16 seed. That was their first game. But say, for instance, like a team like Mercer, and they're a 6-11, and they win that, or take an even smaller school like, Robert Morris, and they're in that play-in game, or that first 4 in, or what have you. They get their first ever school victory in the NCAA tournament. Do you even? I mean, you could count that if you're that school, which I guess maybe that is the case. You can probably count that first 4 in game. But again, like you said, I mean, it turned out to be a magical night at Nats Park because that first couple hours, those Scherzer innings, I mean, you were biting your teeth, you were, breathing heavy, your heart was stopping because, every pitch you knew that he was going to hit at least 96, 97, 98. And if the bat touched the ball, it was going to go out, which ended up happening a couple of times with the Grandal and the Thames home run. So, with Max, his location is so good. If those guys just, that was the mantra going in for the Brewers, just, got to go early. Because if you go late, Max is going to start throwing his off-speed stuff, and he's going in the dirt, and you're dead to the water. So, congrats to the Nationals. Congrats to Juan Soto. Biggest play of that game. Obviously, you could go with Soto, but may have been an HBP, and may have been a Michael Taylor hit by pitch. I'm a huge Michael Taylor fan. If he does not get hit by that pitch, that's third out. You're moving to the ninth.
Playoff Michael Taylor.
Playoff Michael Taylor did it against the Cubs, and now he's done it again. Yes, sure, he got hit by pitch, but you know what? It counts as he was on first. He was on first. He gave way to Ryan Zimmerman, who had the bloop hit, then Rendon with the walk, and then we know what Soto did. Also, before we go back, before we leave the Nats, the whole champagne celebration after the wild card win, I'm almost like hockey players at this point. Like, unless it's the Stanley Cup, and I'm not. This is business as usual. Okay, we have more business to take care of. Sure, I'm sure all my other teammates want to enjoy and celebrate, but count me out, dog. I feel like Randy Jack. Count me out, dog. Count me out, dog. All right, so interesting fact, again with the Nationals. This week, they offered Anthony Rendon. They made him an offer. Tell me if this sounds right. 7 years, $210 million. I mean, that's a lot of money. I would take it, most definitely. But according to his peers and what have you, aka Nolan Arenado got 8 years, $260 million. So in the grand scheme of things, you're like, yeah, you're good. You're not him good. Which, I mean, even if you give him that extra year, it still doesn't add up to this 260.
You're still 20 mil short?
Oh yeah, you're absolutely. You're at least $20 to $25 million short. Even if you add in that extra year. So I don't know if that was the right offer. Hopefully Rendon comes back with a counter, not like last year. Come back with a counter. I think, the way that the learners do business, they want to hear feedback on, what you're thinking. It didn't work out well last year. Let's hope it does for the Nationals, because Rendon's going to get paid no matter what.
Yeah,
but hopefully
someone's paying him.
Somebody's going to pay him. But hopefully,
best be Washington.
Hopefully the Nationals can end up keeping him here, again, with a little bit of feedback. All right, Caps. Boom, the Capitals start tonight. Look, last year when you saw that, they had, matter of fact, 1 year ago, today's the second. 1 year ago, Friday night was the banner raising at Capital One Arena. Now they're in St. Louis for their banner night, and they're raising. So hopefully they can get a little bit of motivation, so to speak, with the banner raising from somebody else's team. This is the third year in a row that they've been at a banner raising. One by Pittsburgh, one their own, and now one by St. Louis.
And I know they were at least at one other Pittsburgh one before.
I swear, I don't think the NHL likes the Capitals. I don't think they do.
I'm still a little salty they didn't have the Penguins in town
for their banner raising. Yeah. Thank you kindly. It was kind of funny how, so the previous banner raising, it was the Caps versus the Penguins for their banner raising night. Then the Caps didn't have to face the defending Stanley Cup champions like the previous couple did. And then you have now this year where the last two Stanley Cup champions have to face off against each other. I don't know. I don't like it. And then on top of that, they have to face the Islanders on Friday for Barry Trotz's home opener. And then after all of that, then they get to come home for their home opener. It's just disrespect, just total disrespect. I don't think the NHL likes the Caps. Or maybe it's just Ovechkin. I don't know. Something's just not right.
I thought maybe things would change after they won the cup, but
Nope.
We're gonna, whoever wins next year, just pencil it in. That's where we'll be
Pencil in
opening.
Caps, because you know what? Maybe
Unless
that's
we win, then.
maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the NHL knows that their most bankable star is not. I can't take that because it's not Ovechkin. It's Connor McDavid and who's the other kid from Toronto?
Matthews?
Austin Matthews. Thank you very much. Those are their probably bankable stars, even though and in this area it's definitely over. So, Caps start tonight. Hopefully they can come through. Right now it is still 0-0. So, oh no, I take that back. 53 seconds into the game, they are losing already. All right, good start to the year. Fantastic. All right, moving on. College football, Terps. Remember the question of the night, which was one word description about the Redskins' performance against the Giants? You could definitely put this word with the Terrapins' performance against Penn State. Embarrassing. It's a complete and total embarrassment. Complete. They had the blackout thing going on in College Park. Mike Loxley, new era, knew this, knew that. They had Ralph Friedgen at the game, honoring him. And guess what happened? They totally peed in their pants. Not Happy Madison or Happy Gilmore peeing in their pants. No, Billy Madison, sorry. Pee your pants, coolest thing. No, it was not in this aspect. Not in this aspect. So, kudos to Penn State, Lake Lewis, Penn Stater. They ended up coming in and thrashing the Terps. Not a rivalry, not even close to being one yet. It's cool. It's cool to say, but maybe one of the major reasons why the Terrapins ended up moving to the Big Ten is to make this a rivalry. Bruh, you're not even close.
You gotta compete.
You're not even close. Not even close. So, and it's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be next year. It's going to be at least 10 years down the line until you can actually call it a rivalry. And you have to go like 9-0 against Penn State. And it's not going to happen. Oh, actually, you know what? I take that back. Maybe. Loxley can recruit his tail off.
And I guess they're starting to put more money in, which you're going to have to do if you want to compete with Penn State.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see a brand new day over in College Park. The potential is there.
Can't get much worse than it's been.
Potential is there. Yeah, well, it hasn't been good under Randy Edsel or DJ Durkin. Oh. All right, let's close out the show. We got a couple minutes left in Redskins Relaunch. Let's talk about the game against the Patriots. Everybody knows how to win this game.
Yeah.
Run the football. Easier said than done. Not going to happen because, the coach won't call a run play. Protect the quarterback. Not going to happen because you don't run the ball. Everything's a domino effect. Defense got to stay off the field. Defense has to be on the field because all you want to do is throw the ball because you can't run the ball because you won't call run plays. Everything is a domino effect. As we started this season on Redskins Relaunch, I've said that how many sacks will it take for the Redskins to win the game? I'm not even doing that. I'm throwing that away because this team can't get home. They can't get to the quarterback, and they're not going to get to Tom Brady. Not going to happen. Well, I guess we'll parlay that question until next week, until we get to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Let's lick our. We can't even really say we can lick our chops for the Dolphins. We can't even do that.
That's a measuring stick
game,
as sad as that is.
It's not good. It is not good. And God forbid, don't let the Redskins lose to the Dolphins.
Ooh,
You're talking about Armageddon. Armageddon in Ashburn. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But that's all the time we got today for Redskins Relaunch. I would like to thank everybody for chiming in. Greg Lancaster, Colvin Underwood, DJ Bland, everybody who tuned in, watched on Periscope. Thank you very much for watching. Rich Bowen, Alex Pinero, Keontae D, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate your comments. Please leave all your comments on Facebook. You can hit me up at Sports Talk NC8 on the key. It's coming. Don't worry about it. It's there. It's there. It's coming. And there it is. Boom, right there. Sports Talk NC8. Hit me up there. You can follow us on DMVSTREAM.com on our Facebook page, as well as DMVSTREAM.com on Twitter and on Periscope as well. For archived episodes of Redskins Relaunch, you can hit us up on DMVStream.com and all sorts of other great content, including a lot of high school sports. You can check us out there. With that said, we thank you very much for watching Redskins Relaunch this week. Next week, we are hoping to have a more positive outlook. Maybe the team will look good this week. Maybe they'll be competitive against the Patriots. I don't know what happens if they're not competitive against the Patriots. If Armageddon in Ashburn comes a week early, I don't know. There are some that are talking about that already, some analysts and some experts, including Louis Riddick and Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but only thing we can do is sit back and watch. Only thing fans can do is give them positive energy, spirit fingers and the whole nine. And the only thing the players can do is actually play the games. The coaches hopefully have done a whole heck of a lot of homework because Bill Belichick has. Matter of fact, did you hear the comments Bill Belichick had on the Redskins? He said that the Redskins are a well-run, a well-coached team. Okay. With that, we got to say bye-bye. See y'all later. Oh, boy.